entire thing, apart from the destruction it caused. Just recently, another, I think the battery boat was hit. Ran into one of the piles and collided with the pile on lagoon. Eco Bridge underneath. And when I went there, I was there on Friday. When I was supposed to interact with him, sir, the person I mean, it's only one that is destroyed. What's the problem? I said, you need deliverance. Because if you have known the colossal damage that civil action has caused, you won't be talking like that. So I just want us to break here. Let's discuss what are the causes of our business and what are the remedies. Because after you have spent so much, look at Abuja, the road from Kefi to Market. Very beautiful road, about 220 kilometers, dual carriage, smooth. In less than 6 months, it was showing business pictures. And I wonder, how did this come about? A careful decision review that number one, the construction was okay. But uphill towards the toll gate that is being installed, the trucks are being made to stop. And these trucks are now parking on the shoulder. And once they start parking on the shoulder, you and I know what that means. Pavements are designed for dynamic load. They are not designed for static load. How many of you know Abuja Airport Road? There is a CNG gas station. I think on the right when you are coming to Abuja Park. I believe they started parking trailers on this beautiful road. Today, some shoulders are giving way to people. Totally. And to correct it, it's not because of those things. Remember when we were, I think on Lagos, there was a point in time where we could count up to 4 kilometer length of trucks parked on the newly constructed shoulder. Okay? Can you also remember, I think like 2017, 2018, when some trucks parked on Lagos bridges and they were abandoned there for more than 2 years. In fact, at that point, I dropped my car for those who designed those bridges. Because that was enough for those bridges to collapse completely. But they still stood the test of time. What are the causes of road pavement failure? And what are our suggested solutions to get? Over to me. I need some solutions, please. Yes, Oga is a red card, sorry, a black card. So the data can we take note? What is the one because
discussions on reasons for failures of our road pavement in the country has been so far discussed has been more of failures caused by road users. But also one fundamental aspect is the responsible statutory authorities need to take cognizance of the design life of most of our roads. Most of them outlive their design life without necessary intervention levels they require, and this has led to failure of this road. Secondly, like you mentioned earlier in your presentations, most of the housing road on most of the main mode of transport being utilized mostly across the country is the mode of transport. And for for these roles to be able to live their design life, we have to balance the distribution of the loads. In other sense, other sectors, other modes of transport, most especially the railway mentioned earlier, we need to lay more emphasis on it so that we take off most of these arguments from our roads. And then the level of deterioration, I believe, will be mitigated and reduced greatly. Thank you.
All right. Any other one, please? Any other comment? I think there is a need for us to also recognize that road users also abuses our road, and there is a need for enforcement. We agree to that. So, what is something?
Thank you, sir. Yes. I agree completely. I believe one of the most disheartening things I see on the road is misuse of the road. Misuse of the road, yes. They misuse the road because every road is designed for a particular acting road. Either bicycle pavements are designed in accordance with number 29 and 31. The surface strength is designed for a particular action to carry. So when we exceed that classroom, we are killing the road. Then again, the issues of the road itself. Someone who wants to do a pipe, maybe a surface pipe, a water pipe, and you go on the roadside. You will cut the road. Even some organization, maybe water corporation or some other government agency, they don't have the technology to fix the road pipe. Like our park, like we have today. So they do it right. They go about again the issue. They don't do it where water will press. Water will clear the road foundation, either it is rigid or flexible. Water is pressed to damage our road. Then again, I've seen a place during my career too that I was walking by the water. I saw this thing, the water table on my road. Somebody has built a shop on it. He wants to cement the head to make the foundation of this or the water table. These are machines that is going on this. And it's been going on without check. Nobody is checking it. So if we allow all this to find out, there was a day wanted to cheat parents. You don't know, you can never see, and we never found the inlet and the outlet to the comments. I think that this should be discouraged. To discourage it, even also, airport will not go down the drain.
I'm not saying maybe if they don't
Then
fix
again,
it, if they can get it
on our roads again, I see that enforcement, as we said, even if we put all these things, all these our ideas, all these our work, with our enforcement, and we don't have implementation, enforcement. We should think about more on the enforcement. We should engage maybe the lawmakers and other law enforcement so that
Even the higher rate, say you don't know. NCW and the AI will try. He's saying that with this code, you don't use what you made. What you said, nobody was said that you buy
if what you can do is, as I said, you should buy maybe like 5 or 10 meters, then we use this one and try and see.
okay,
We remove this one and
what's
put
the
them
length? This one was the length.
No, the other one. one too, meaning you have to face it.
We prepare for
Some
this.
years
But
ago,
you have to know the important thing is the power.
five votes about
500 percent.
that committee involved included law enforcement agencies, police, navy, and so it was starting for 2 years. Where we are going to majorly market pieces, where we have public, we have the intention to move the pieces. And it was not for 2 years, but it was one maybe with this
You have that too.
Available.
Maybe after that part, you didn't finish.
Thank you, sir.
Are you available? Okay, it's all right, it's all right. You are ready.
I think it's more easier to handle at the federal level, but at the state level, there is a synergy between NGOs that handle the construction group. Because at the state level, we have other agencies, entities that construct roads, and they don't have the basic qualification to supervise such roads. It's not going to find out that these roads pay even before they are commissioned. So there is need for synergy at the state level. And equally to establish who to handle road construction at the state level.
Okay. We are talking about that. Let them know you are. And that is the right.
Supervisor, sir, there are a lot of factors that can bring about growth. One of the most important factors should be the use of poor materials. Poor materials, materials that we don't meet up with our specification, depending on the purpose for which you want to use the material, either for subgrade filling, for use of surface materials. Even if you talk about crushed-stone base, if you want to use crushed-stone base on the pavement, there's supposed to be a mixed design. Mixed design that should conform with the specification, depending on the zone of that stone base. Either zone A, zone B, etc. And the problem we have most times is if on the site we are not carrying out necessary control tests, because anybody can go to borrow pits. When you go to the borrow pit where you are going to haul materials, you don't have the particular strata where you have approved materials. Probably from this depth to this depth, you have good materials. And most times, you find that because you don't have proper monitoring from the borrow pits, once they exhaust that layer, they start hauling other materials to the site. And if you don't have experienced personnel on site that are monitoring the materials coming, before you know what's happening, you start bringing materials to site and you don't meet up with the specification. This creates a problem. And that's one reason why it's very important that there are also qualified personnel on site to monitor whatever materials is being brought. Having said that, even on site, you need to have control tests for the materials. You have the optimal moisture content and NDT. Because if you are doing filling on a road, it's not like just filling a hole. When you are doing filling, you have to fill layer by layer. And for each layer, you have to run compaction tests. All these are construction procedures that must be followed strictly to the letter. If you have poor materials, the road can fail. If you have poor construction procedure, if the procedure is not followed properly, the road will also fail. If you have poor design, because if you are having a road that has a problem, as an engineer, you must be able to establish the cause of that failure. It's only when you have established the cause of the failure, then you can now come up with an appropriate design to address that failure in the road. I believe shifting and to the latter, especially in qualified personnel. That's one reason why we need to have training and retraining of engineers so that you understand the reason why we are even making the materials, and you also understand the procedure for using those materials on site. Then and only then can we solve most of these road failures we have on our road. Thank you very much.
Is there any other? Last question.
In addition to the causes of failure on our roads, I think there is one major point I think I need to add to that. And this is this issue of blockage on our drainages. This, in most cases, we see a lot of people having properties, joining sides of the road, blocking drainages. Even where we have extreme, some are we having construction work on the side, and see them blocking drainages, maybe to create way for their truck to enter the property. And at the end of that construction work, that drainage will not be used for runoff. And in most cases, when this runoff goes through the road, it naturally damages the road. As it is happening on the major highway, it's also happening on the townships. A lot of people drop materials on the road, and this has been causing a lot of damages on the road pavement. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for those very contributions that are tremendous benefits. Let me summarize by telling us the problem. Pavement failure is a function of, and is caused by numerous factors that are not limited to the problem. One, construction error. Two, inadequate supervision. Use of substandard material and equipment. Again, water table. Climate change. Are you getting me? Climate change. Untimely attendance to distress people. Because if you attend to them early, it's not likely to deteriorate further. Is it true? Again, funding. Not only that, reckless driving, like I've mentioned, and lane indiscipline. You know what I mean by that? Lane indiscipline. When driver will leave their lane. In fact, I've seen trucks driving from one way without headlamp in the night. You are driving from one way without headlamp and it's in the night. Such a thing should be jailed. But a more serious one is what I call inadequate enforcement for defaulters. To address this, I want to recommend a one-day workshop to put together by Federal Ministry of Works inside our own hall to invite those and discuss extensively enforcement mechanisms for abusive road users. So that is one. Then, in order to sustain the strength of our road, we also put up a name. I've already raised a committee to work on this, to develop a memorandum effectively, so that executive to get council to approve that you do some serious enforcement. Because let me tell you, every contractor has connection with you. They claim they do. It is when you want to pull the string, somebody will start calling your back, calling you directly. What is this you are doing? What is this you are doing? Leave it alone. Let it be. Let me tell you the danger of that. a drama happened. A CMD who claimed to be well connected in a teaching hospital messed up. To be very specific, he was given a waiver to recruit, I think, about 300 medical personnel to beef up the capacity base for that teaching hospital. And what did he do? To recruit 300 plus, it means you should do a need analysis to determine how many doctors you need. This is it. You determine how many pharmacists, how many nurses, laboratory technologists, and all kinds of professions in the medical line. This man went and recruited 1,950, of which only 50 were medical personnel. Yoruba, education, history. You can imagine that Christian religious studies, because it's the side of the uncle, another teaching hospital. Say no. Before I started meeting, different cops were coming. That's the latest one we have, and nothing should happen to me. How they got my phone number, I didn't know. But it got to a point that I lost my cool. Fortunately for me, there was no minister at that time. For about 3 months, there was no minister. You know what I did? I fired him. They called me from the highest hotel. I said, yes, I fired him, and I take responsibility. They did all, I mean, it was so professional. I told you by the I was ready to leave the service than allow this man to stay. It led to crisis upon crisis. I did not change my mind. I've written, I've decided. I actually thought I would be fine. And I was ready. You know what happened? When the opportunity availed me to explain myself, you know what I did? I made sure he has been replaced before I went to the court. So that the chances of him coming back does not exist. By the time I explained what he has done and the consequences, the next thing I saw was that the president himself requested for me, come and work for me, I need your time. I said all this to let you know, when you stand for the truth, it's not always popular, but it will earn you the respect you. But we have been too much of a coward. Too much of a coward. Let me tell you, those who are afraid to tell it, they are the ones that fail. This profession is a noble one. Let's defend it. Defend the right thing, God will be with you. So, the committee, please, who is working with you? So, the two of you will complete this. I need to take it to proper because I want to take it to the so that we develop a council member to take it and we come up with a law endorsed by Fed to commit with you so that it becomes enforceable for road users who abuse roads to be punished. Some of them could be capital. Because somebody could drive a trailer loaded with 900 parcels and is driving on the opposite direction, going on one way in the night without light. It's on suicide mission. Am I correct? It's on suicide mission. Before he kills you, let's kill you. You see, it may not sound popular until we take the by the government. We can't make progress. Do you know that a moment was driving a truck, a loader, and was carrying a heavy duty equipment, and was driving from Kefi into Abuja, and he knows that the headroom for this underpass, he tried it, his equipment, heavy duty, was touching the beam. He said he can force it. And he drove through and he picked the beam and brought it down. And when he was asked, you only one do? So there are five, only one. The rest are carrying the beam. Does it talk like somebody who has sense? Should we try the beam? Let's face it. So please, put this together for us, and let's move forward. Now, another aspect that I want us to discuss, maybe I will leave that to tomorrow. I will leave that to tomorrow. So please, let's come up with this memo, because it's a serious matter. Road users are abusing it too much. Do you know the worst of it? The same guy who abuse your road and destroy it are on television abusing you for stealing the money for road construction. Whereas that bill they broke to fix it now because of when over 3 billion naira. That 3 billion could have fixed another road somewhere. Isn't it? But to restore traffic on that road, you know, divide the money and go and fix that road first. No. We shouldn't continue like this. We shouldn't. Look at the man who went and destroyed pipe on Lagoon. Please note it that a foreign mechanism we put in place in ensuring an adequate punishment with heavy fine and with the capital punishment will come on the way of road abusers depending on the severity of the problem. Is that clear, please? Can we move forward? Please talk to me now. Do you agree with my position? God bless you. Number 12. It said policy formulation strategy and coordination for effective infrastructure construction and maintenance. Memorandum on the need for post-disaster emergency risk and level of preparedness on road maintenance. Read the sub-theme. The sub-theme below is policy formulation strategy, coordination of effective road infrastructure. So read it to us.
The purpose of this memorandum is to seek for council approval on the need to mandate ratio works and all state ministries of the Federation to establish a construction team in collaboration with private sector, public private partnerships for the deployment of heavy duty equipment of necessary funds as proactive measures in the event of disaster affecting critical infrastructure such as roads, culverts, and bridges, as well as to prevent further damage and losses in the affected areas. The council is requested to note and approve that 1. Primacy of water all state ministries of works to establish a construction team unit in their respective ministries